Blessed with years of technical experience and an honest desire to give back to the community, they developed a unique plug-and-play mini Wi-Fi camera that provides superior security and convenience. When their former company offered $2.7 million for the production rights, Evan and Justin declined the offer. It was then that they realized the impact his invention could have. A group of investors joined them in his mission to provide affordable home security. They perfected the device and readied it for mass production. It's the most cost-effective way to upgrade your home security system. Unlike traditional doorbell cameras that are fixed and limited in their range, OrbiCam offers incredible security benefits. It records at higher resolutions and boasts features such as enhanced LED night vision, wide 150-degree viewing angle, remote live feed, two-way audio communication, full HD live video, and more. Best of all, you have complete control over these features right from your smartphone or computer. Whether you're a qualified electrician or a housewife with no prior knowledge of electrical items, setting up OrbiCam is a breeze requiring just 4 simple steps. First, download the app, then scan the QR code with your cell phone to establish a connection to your Wi-Fi. OrbiCam comes with a magnetized base that sticks to any surface, making it easy to hide. Stick it to walls, fridges, garages, or even carry it with you on the go. No cables or batteries required, and you're all set. In less than a minute, you can monitor your surroundings from your cell phone or computer. Best of all, it saves you hundreds of dollars yearly compared to traditional security.
Buenos dias, ¿cómo estás? Welcome to the Just Be podcast, where I just be. For today, I might not be on here for very long, but I feel like the theme for all of these streams lately has been I'm in a state of resonance with my higher self, with the healing, with embodying completely, healing all that comes into my conscious awareness, into my emotional body, into my spirit, into my physical being. In that, it feels nice. It feels really nice. It feels like, I don't know, it feels like I'm powering up low key. It feels like I'm about to I don't know, like reach a new form or something like that. Like, you know what it is too? I say that because I really want Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. And because I want it, I will begin to embody. That's also something that I've been noticing, and it might be something that comes across in this reading I'm about to watch slash listen to from Bahati Life. She's just reading the general chart, the general astrology signs for, well, she'll say it. I don't have to explain it all. She has her own video. If you'd like to go watch this video, check out Bahati Life on YouTube. I'm pretty sure she's also like everywhere. I think she's on Instagram and TikTok and all those as well. Honestly, for me, I'd like to give a big shout out to Bahati Life, for real, because a few years ago, like literally 2 or 3 maybe, is when I first started to really dive deeper into astrology, dive deeper into the relation between our physical bodies, our emotional selves, our emotions, and our spirit, our energy, and how, because we are the universe, because we are God or Source experiencing itself, there are ways in which we can be communicated with, and we are being communicated with through these higher energies, higher vibrations, higher concepts of collective consciousness or collective ability to perceive. And aligning with during my first spiritual awakening, I had this much more free to explore and have a relationship with the universe in whatever way I feel. In whatever way I feel. as I've experienced going through spiritual awakenings, going through changes in how I express myself, changes in how I communicate, changes in what I feel like communicating or feel like expressing, and how I feel, the overwhelming change in such a short amount of time in my mindset put me in this place, put me in this position to sort of feel like I needed to go into a cocoon. I'm still sort of in this cocoon energy. I'm in this, the universe is keeping me isolated, keeping me cool, calm, and collected. On my lonesome, you feel me? And it's mostly because of my own anxiety, because of what I've been communicated with, what I'm communicating with the universe is, in my emotional body, I feel that there is a part of me that outside of my conscious awareness, my subconscious, what it is, the emotions that reside within my subconscious are quite harming to my whole entire being. As I am, I feel that each and every time I bring myself to have a positive thought, a positive affirmation, a positive outlook on life, a positive conscious decision to change, do better, to embody the energy that I desire to embody, it seems like there's this part of my subconscious that is this very wounded inner child, very wounded emotion, almost like I put my divine feminine energy and inner child energy in like the same boat. Well, one, because I like to, if I have any of that nurturing feminine energy within me, and we all do, I like to put that to use in accepting myself, accepting my inner child, accepting the things that I desire, accepting who I am and what I want to do and what I want to be, and and in my divine masculine, giving that a place to be in safety and security, outside of the realm of what anybody else thinks, purely on and exploring and accepting and affirming my individuality. But yeah, I don't know, it feels like because I've opened up to that and began changing quite quickly, or began changing the way I view things, and thus changing how the universe interacts with me, how the world interacts with me, I began to, one, go through these periods of times where I'm completely confident. I wouldn't say overly confident. I would just say confident and naive, in the sense that what I decided, what I was embodying was everything that comes into my life is good. I'm only drawing in and magnetizing myself to the things, experiences, people, places that I desire, or that will make me feel good, or just bring me into the life that I desire. Allow me to live as I desire to live on a day-to-day basis. And in that, I began seeing, because I was much more self-centered or secure in who I am, or secure in my protection. Honestly, at the time, it was a little of this weird feeling of, I know what I'm doing, I know what I'm desiring to do, I know that I'm talking to the universe, source, the highest power in the universe, So I know that I'm in alignment with that, and I'm in alignment with all that is. And because of that, I can decide what I will be and who I am currently. That, for me, and it can be because I'm taking responsibility for all of my thoughts, all of my opinions, all of my actions, all of my emotions. It felt that because I went through this and it began to feel like I was overly perceptive to the world around me, opening myself up to, it felt like because I had this deep connection with the universe, deep connection with source, with God, with, you feel me, Yeshua, Jesus, higher entities, planets, concepts like fate and destiny, being able to communicate with all of these in a way that brings me more clarity, brings me more focus on the good. It began to sort of push back this yin and yang energy of me fully embodying this positive energy, and on the back burner, in the blind spot, all of this negativity sort of creeping up and creeping in on me, because I hadn't been focusing on like hardening or strengthening myself to those worries. And even at this point in time, it's like, do I need to strengthen myself, or do I need to like shield myself from these emotions? Can I communicate with myself, communicate with my inner child, communicate with my emotions, and bring them to a healthier place, bring them to the place where I know it would feel best for me to feel, for me to be, for me to experience. I know it would be best, and I know that I can do that. I know that I can experience it because I'm embodying it within me first. I'm bringing it into myself first, so that the universe can then show it to me outside of me. Yeah, kind of felt like because I was tapping into higher energies, and I didn't quite know how to fully ground myself or how to like bring myself back to earth type thing. I separated myself energetically from a lot of people. I isolated myself simply because it felt like that was what I needed to do in order to fully like express myself and to fully express this change, express this transformation. This transformation being from like, you know, caterpillar to cocoon, a caterpillar from whatever age 0 to age, I'd say like 22, because when I was 23 it wasn't all that great. Or no, I'd say 23, because at 22 I wasn't in isolation. I was just beginning to build my cocoon, and I hadn't quite realized it. At 23 it was like, this is it, this is what you're doing. You're gonna have to sit here, you're gonna have to feel all of your emotions, you're gonna have to feel everything. And because you are you, because I am me, it is my path, because I'm strong enough to see. I'm not even just strong enough, I'm able to see. I can see what exactly it is that is bothering me, what exactly it is that is worrying me, and not even just for myself, because I felt like I'm in connection with the universe as a whole, with the earth, with the stars, with the sun, the moon. So it wouldn't, and like most people who go through these experiences, this deep desire to share, this deep desire to let others know how beautiful, how wonderful it is to have this connection, to know like energetically where you come from is what you are, like ancestors. But like not only that, but on the deepest level, we are the universe, we are source, we are God, we are the living God embodied in each and every one of us, here to experience what it is that is for us. And how I see it is, what we find that is most fruitful, most fulfilling, most like loving, it gives us the most like good, warm, fuzzy feeling in us, is usually the thing that we're meant to do. I'd like to take this conversation away from like religion and spirituality, because for most people it's not something that you'd readily dive into. It's taboo, or it's a cult, or it's something you don't really want to mess with. You don't want to mess with your connection with God if that's what you believe in. And in my experience, that's something that I like I went into pretty roughly, to be honest. My connection with my idea of like Christian God the Father type stuff, it all really led me to seeing that we are the I am. I am the I am because I am. And because all of these are mostly all of this occult knowledge, religious knowledge, and whatever, it's mostly coded language. It's mostly coded language for you to see your own power, but because there are others out there who want to shrink people down, to put people in a place where they're more controllable, to put people in a place where they're more malleable to the ideas and the wills of others. Put it in this coded language that if you weren't aware, if you didn't know, you'd be willingly submitting to possibly lower vibrational energies, submitting to others around you who may not have the best intentions, and more so connecting yourself not with Source, not with God, not with the living God, all that is the I am, but connecting yourself to individuals who, for better or worse, are trusted. Trusting somebody else to think for you rather than building your own connection and building your own relationship with Source, with God, with the universe. And I've dealt with this over the years. I haven't really, because I'm not so vocal with like my family and things like that. I have an uncle he has a master's degree in like Christian, like in theology. He's a pastor. So, in talking to him, honestly, it feels like, yeah, when you know more, you sort of recognize that there's no real separation from however it best connects to you, however you best connect to it, God, the universe. It's not so different. I've had conversations with that uncle where, like, I'm honest with it. I'm like, I'm not the most religious person. I do believe there is a higher power. I do believe that, there's angels, there's demons, there's whatever. And honestly, because I believe it, or not because I believe it, because I see it, I recognize it as these things are mostly lessons for us as individuals, as human beings, as spirits, as timeless entities. It is a lesson. It's a lesson to learn just how to best feel good, just how to best feel love, joy, happiness, care, empathy. And in recognizing this and recognizing that it's possible to feel all these things because they're unlimited, because the universe is bottomlessly abundant, because the universe is, what's so funny? Shouts out to my inner child. Shouts out to like my younger self, I guess, because not even just my inner child, like my inner teenager, just younger self. Like I could go all the way until like yesterday, but like this energy of my mom growing up was always like, Denzel, you don't have a butt. You don't got a butt. So I'm like, okay. but in this essence, you see the mirroring qualities, or I see the mirroring qualities, no pun intended, with having my mirror and camera shot all the time. But this mirroring energy of recognizing my own relation to the universe. I am the universe. If I look out into the world, if I look out around me, I will see reflections of myself. can start to see where the timelessness of our spirits, of our energies, can be used to help us, can be used to take all of the energy that we have experienced in the past, and even in just thinking of the future, feeling our present, deciding what it is we want our future to look like, what it is we want our present to look like. Actually, let's put it like this. What it is we want our future to look like, how our past has looked and felt, and bringing all of those into the present moment and aligning it with who we are currently. And currently I'm somebody who is healing at exponential levels. There's still a part of me, this subconscious part of me, that's like, you can't just say that, there's no evidence of that. But the evidence is that, one, I'm here, I'm speaking more. Two, my body. Just because other people can't see it or feel it doesn't mean that it's not something that's happening and it's not something that I'm doing. Just because my meditations don't always feel the most focused or don't always feel like I'm deliberately taking time to be like, doesn't mean that I'm not meditating, doesn't mean that I'm not communicating with myself on a deeper level to sort of move this energy along. It just means that that's my perception of it. My perception of my healing journey so far hasn't been the best. It hasn't been the most light and loving towards myself. There's something I heard the other day, which was, be gentle with yourself. Be gentle with yourself. That's something that I haven't been doing. I've been quite hard on myself on all of these things. It feels like because I know better, I should be doing better. And that's not to take away from my ability to observe my own actions and correct them. It's just that because I'm so tapped into myself on such deep levels, me communicating with myself like, yo, you know better, do better, aren't like this sort of pounding energy on myself. I'm communicating with my inner child. I'm communicating with baby me. And I'm just like, yo, what the fuck? To a child. Which is like, because of my conscious awareness, I'm like, yeah, I can do better. It's fine. Internally, something deeper than the surface, my emotions are feeling hurt. I'm feeling like I'm taking a hit from whatever, and it's just myself. I feel like I'm getting hit emotionally. Because I'm basically telling myself that I'm basically scolding myself rather than recognizing that that's, for one, not the best way that I've learned in the past, and two, just isn't really a teaching or learning moment for, I say children, but just for my inner child. It's like, I've recognized how I've learned. I learned from seeing it done, having it explained to me, and having it explained to me in like calmer, gentle ways. Just calm, cool, and collected. Just tell me straight up. Even as a child, it's like, that's why I like math so much, because it's really straightforward. There's no room for opinion. There's no room for like. But if you're over here, it's like this. Like many, I don't know, social interactions, communications, and other parts of life that require us to be more open to considering things from other perspectives. Math was something that was very much like 1 + 1 is 2. And I don't know why, I just love algebra. I love this idea that for any issue that we can come across, there is a definitive and like it's a non-failure. There's no room for failure if you're formula's right, if your equations are right, you will come to the correct answer. You will come to the right conclusion. And I feel that because I am recognizing that I do love just being straight up, just being completely honest. I feel like math is very honest like that. Just being completely straightforward with myself, but gentle, but kind, but calm. And it's like, I don't think I've ever really experienced myself like that. I don't think I've ever really put myself in the shoes of my younger child, in the sense that I'm listening to all of this negative talk from the perspective of my inner child. A lot of my own depression, darkness, sadness. I mean, sadness and depression are really the same thing. You can feel sad. Feeling sad is a great thing. If there's something that makes you sad, feel sad. Feel your emotions. Cry. Have a good cry. The difference between sadness and depression is sadness comes and goes because you feel it and you let it go. Depression, it's more of this holding on to whatever it is caused you that harm, caused you that hurt, and committing. And I feel bad for saying it like this, but this is how it's resonated with me. This is, for me, somebody who's been dealing with depression for like my whole life, since I was like 5 or 6. And got a boogie in my nose. And yeah, it's felt that I've unknowingly, to a point, had just been recognizing these feelings and sort of deciding that I don't want to feel them. It's the same thing with my anger from a very young age. There's a difference between taking energy, taking emotions, and transmuting them, and then completely ignoring. I felt I fell in line with completely ignoring my emotions, ignoring my feelings, ignoring the things that didn't make me feel good, even though I was doing nothing about it, even though I was doing nothing to express myself about it, doing nothing about it, just accepting that there's this thing in my life that I don't enjoy, or there's this way of being that I don't enjoy. And because I feel I have no power, especially when I was younger, because I feel I have no power, because I feel like it's just how life is, I just have to accept this, and I have to keep moving on and keep moving forward, or just be as I am, regardless of knowing that in the back of my mind, or unknowingly, I'm still feeling all of this weight, all of this pain, all of this tragedy, all of this sadness, all of this anger. And because I'm not giving it a place to, like, in my divine masculine, I'm not giving that a place to breathe. I'm not giving it a place to escape, to release. I'm just telling myself that, no, don't feel that. It's sort of like this toxic masculinity in terms of, like, raising men. Like, men don't cry, men don't show emotions, men don't whatever. And it's like, ugh. For me, that's toxic. That's toxic to my well-being, because I'm an emotional person. We're all emotional beings. We all have emotions. We operate as human beings a lot on emotions, because that's our compass in a lot of situations. That's our internal compass for our outside world, for our perspective, for our views. And yeah, I don't even think I'm going to be watching this astrology video on here, to be honest, because I like this conversation that I'm having, and I feel like it'll be great to just post it. So yeah, with that being said, I don't know, I guess we can still see if there's any sort of resonating with it or whatever. Oh, what do I do with that remote? Alright. Yeah, I think I am going to stop the video here, stop the stream here, so that this is like a sectioned off thing. I can just post this. But in conclusion, like, I guess there's no real conclusion. In moving forward, and what I've learned from this experience, or just from this sitting here and meditating and talking about it, I'm recognizing that being gentle with oneself is one of the utmost important things you can do. Being at war with yourself is no benefit to you or the world around you. It's basically, you being at war with yourself is basically being at war with your reality or who you are, or just your perception, your emotions, all of that. Aligning oneself with this ability to calmly communicate, calmly express love, joy, care, empathy for yourself, for all the versions of yourself, for each and every version of yourself, from a child, adolescence, teenager, you feel me, young adult, middle-aged, senior citizen. It doesn't matter what age you are, because these are all things that are timeless. It's always the right time to be better. It's always the right time to feel better. It's always the right time to do whatever it is that you feel you need to do from a place of harmony with yourself and the world around you. And even if that, sometimes that harmony may look like not rocking with anybody for a moment. You know, sometimes the universe does separate us so that we can truly embody who it is that we are outside of who we're around. And it's like, I love myself. I love that I'm learning how to be more gentle with my emotions. I'm learning how to engage with all of my emotions and energies in a more loving and careful way. You feel me? It's like this feeling of the term carefree. For whatever reason, a part of me, this subconscious awareness that is like, things can go bad, things are always going bad, things are always, like, everything's like a monkey's paw. If I try to manifest or imagine or believe in anything, something to the opposite effect is going to happen, because that's my perspective. There's literally no other reason that anything else happens other than I'm magnifying it towards me, because I feel so, like, I feel such a way about it. I feel such a way about it because I feel like it's true. I feel like it's real, that, like, when all of the things that I'm desiring to do are being sabotaged, or like I'm being set up for failure or something like that. And it's not true. And even if it has been true in the past, I have the ability, I have the knowledge, I have the wisdom to bring myself out of it, to bring myself into alignment with the things that bring me joy, bring me peace, bring me happiness, and to not worry, to care for myself so much that those things that I'm worried about aren't even on my radar. They aren't in my conscious awareness, they aren't in my subconscious awareness, they aren't in my emotional being, they aren't in my spirit, they aren't in my soul, any of that. I'm just focused on the things that I like, focused on the things that I enjoy, focused on living life to the fullest, focused on living the life that brings me the most fulfillment, happiness, and in that can give others the ability to find it for themselves. So yeah. Yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna watch this video and then I may like take a section of this video and post it somewhere. But yeah, man, October 14th to the 20th. Let's get into it.
Welcome back to the Knowlife YouTube channel. If you're meeting for the first time, welcome. And for those of you that are
You know what? I'm also going to lay down and meditate while I'm doing this because I might stretch a little bit first. But anyway.
friends and family, welcome back. Now, I'm not sure you're going to be able to tell by the title of today's video, but there is a ton of information and changes and transformation that we need to talk about. I'm pretty sure that you are feeling this and you have observed this type of energy in your life. It is a shove, a nudge from the universe that is direct and forceful into the direction of clarity. There is a lot of inner reflection, inner awareness, inner aha moments and awakenings that is going to be downloaded to you if you haven't felt that already. Because of the way that the planets are currently moving, it's going to be happening a lot in your interpersonal relationships as well as your relationship with yourself. I hope that makes sense. Go ahead and grab some lemonade. That's what I'm sipping on right now. Grab some tea, grab some coffee, grab some water, get cozy. Let's go ahead and dive right in. So as I promised, guys, there is a ton of transits and energies that we need to talk about, that I need to break down, that we need to digest. Like I said in the very beginning of this video, chances are you're feeling these energies significantly. I want to start off by taking a few steps backwards before we take a dive into the week ahead. And the reason why I do this is because there's transits that have already taken place. There's major transition that has already taken place that you are already feeling. And to be able to look back helps you to understand where it is that you are currently sitting right now. Now, we haven't been able to talk in a minute. Partly, a major reason for that is because here in Florida, we were getting rocked by Hurricane Milton, and then before that, Hurricane Helene, I believe, was the name of that hurricane. Hurricane Milton was a little bit more intense. Hurricane Helene came a little earlier, gave us a lot of perspective, and taught Floridians real quick that we need to take these storms more seriously than the state collectively had. So we are rebuilding, the internet is down, power was out, there was flooding, it was a disaster, and still is a disaster. The neighborhood is building. So I do want to say thank you guys for being patient with me while we were kind of navigating through those storms. And also I want to extend that grace for you to give that to yourself and others, as every single one of us is individually kind of navigating through our own personal storms. Let's give ourselves a lot of space and time and patience as we figure this shit out. One other thing that you'll notice, if you guys are like, okay, something seemed a little off about her, my allergies have emerged with a full vengeance. It could be a lot worse, but it could be a whole lot better. And I think it has a lot to do with the storm kind of kicking up, some dust and dander or something in the environment, in the trees. We were out there working in the garden and stuff and cutting branches down, big branches, and I think that it kind of activates my allergies. So if you see me kind of sniffling or pausing, it's because I'm sneezing, and I'm going to be probably most likely editing those major aggressive sneezes out. Alright, enough about me, let's go ahead and dive in. So the first thing that I want to talk to you guys about is the fact that October 9th, Jupiter went retrograde in the sign of Gemini. Now, I'm going to have a whole separate video breaking this down, but for the sake of today's video, and what is that you can expect, Jupiter brings expansion, wisdom, and philosophy, spirituality, travel, and education. When it's transiting through the sign of Gemini, this brings all of those energies inward when it comes to the realms of connections and community, like social connections, how we communicate with others, the places that we go to connect with others, small trips, small jaunts, and communication as a whole. One thing that I'm watching as I'm looking at these transits is that Jupiter specifically has been teaching us a lot when it comes to expanding our perspective. This is where we've been shifting our beliefs, our core beliefs, from what we were learned to what we inherently believe deep within our soul and in our inner wisdom. What is our inner truth? Not what someone tells us, but when we sit with ourselves and we ask ourselves the inner question, what is right, what is wrong, morally, what are we down for, what are your spiritual beliefs, that's when you start to come to answers for yourself and not what the world or your family or your upbringing or your community has told you. Now that Jupiter is retrograde, again, this is starting October 9th, we're going to be feeling this all the remainder of this year, this process of analyzing and reflecting. Now, even though Jupiter rules our wisdom, philosophy, spirituality, travel, education, it doesn't necessarily lock us each individually into those categories exclusively. Keep in mind that these are very specific messages for a general audience. So basically what this means is that you're going to want to look into your chart and see what Gemini rules in order to see what category, what section of your life this transit is going to be moving through, this planet is going to be transiting through, so that you can see, okay, this is impacting the area of my friendships. Let's say Jupiter is transiting through your 11th house. That Gemini energy rules your 11th house. This would be highlighting friendships and social media, hopes and wishes. You may find that you're learning a lot about what type of friendships and connections it is that you need. Are your friendships, are your connections fostering your growth? Are you not growing within your relationships? Have you scaled back? Are you not learning lessons? Are there things that you can do better? Are there lessons that you should have learned? Majorly it has a lot to do with lessons. Are there things that you should have been learning at this point that now Jupiter is going to have you pause, reflect, reassess, and adjust so that that area of your life can actually expand and be abundant and booming itself once it goes direct again. This is another one of those planets that is making us slow down significantly. We have Saturn retrograde, Neptune retrograde, Chiron retrograde, Uranus retrograde, Jupiter retrograde, Pluto just went direct. We'll talk about that in a second. But there's so many planets, these major planets, that, in my opinion, don't get enough attention, don't get the recognition that they deserve for as long and as hard and as deep, okay, that sounds loud, as they will be impacting us. So oftentimes in astrology world, people will talk about this transit initially as it happens and then forget about it and start placing the blame and pointing fingers at transits that are minor in comparison to the magnitude of these major planets. And it's really important that we keep reminding ourselves. Why? Because we need to know where this energy is coming from. We need to understand it so that we can learn from it and grow from it instead of feeling crushed, defeated, misunderstood, misaligned. There's a lot to be learned here. So back to that example that I was saying, with, let's say Gemini oversees your 11th house of friendships. This is where you start to look at yourself and how you've shown up for your friendships, for your connections, or how others have shown up for you. I do want to say that with Jupiter turning retrograde, this is not so much, you can't control what other people do, and this energy doesn't really give a lot of emphasis on what others are doing so much as far as like the energy that you bring and what you do with the vibes and how people kind of react to what it is that you're doing. If there are parts of yourself that refuse to grow up, that refuse to mature, you will find that that area of your life will be stunted. Why? Because Jupiter, as wise as it is, as smart, as intelligent, and interconnected as it is, it still loves a good time. And sometimes anything in any outside moderation could be bad, or it will create imbalance. I don't want to use the word bad, but it will create imbalance. Jupiter, when it is ill functioning, it could be, I won't say dismissive, but it doesn't take things seriously. It wants to have a good time all the time. And for that reason, if you are like holding your friendships, and I'm using the example of friendships for just the general audience, but definitely again look at your say if you don't hold your friendships in a way that gives it this sacredness, like the sacred energy and the respect that it deserves, you will find that Jupiter retrograde, even though Jupiter is known for like buoyancy and lightness and fun and being jovial and intelligent and wise and spiritual and connected, it will start to turn in. You'll start to turn within and say, I actually contributed to the breakdown of this connection. I contributed to the stunted growth of this relationship that it is that I'm in right now. Another example could be money. Let's say that the universe has been teaching you a lot, or at least attempting to teach you a lot, by giving you blessings. Remember, Jupiter pours into our lives through opportunities, through networking. If you find during the Jupiter retrograde or Jupiter direct that you were not taking those connections and you weren't networking, like if you weren't taking those connections seriously, that you weren't respecting them, if you're abusing them or not even following through on communication with them, when Jupiter retrograde begins, again, this is October 9th in Gemini, it's going to have you thinking, pondering, reflecting on, damn, how did I contribute to the loss of this important connection? Why can't I why am I no longer abundantly thriving in this area of my life? Well, it's because you didn't take it seriously enough. You didn't tap into it. You didn't respect it. You didn't develop it. You didn't grow it. You didn't learn. Remember, Jupiter connects to learning and wisdom and exploration and asking questions and the joy of that growth. So if you're not tapping into that, then you're going to feel the effects. I said I was going to do a whole video about this, but at this point, I've pretty much broken that down as far as I need to for the moment. Let's move on to the next astrological transition that I'm feeling, and that is the fact that, and what I'm seeing, Pluto is finally moving direct in the sign of Capricorn October 11th. Now, the first thing that stands out to me with this is always going to be, at least for the next few years, or next couple years, politics, government, big business, and the powers that be. When Pluto, and guys, let me know, give this video a thumbs up if you remember me talking about this, when Pluto entered into the sign of Capricorn, this was years ago, and kept going retrograde and direct and retrograde and direct, we started seeing, and I started talking about the breakdown of politics, the abuse of politics, the abuse of people in positions of power, the revealing of how people have been controlling and manipulating the masses, how they have been getting away with murder, so to speak. And now that Pluto is in the final degrees of Capricorn, this energy that we thought was over when Pluto entered the sign of Aquarius, when it went retrograde, all of it started to come back again. And I don't know if you're watching current events. I don't know if you were watching current events and you turned it off because it's too much. But if you want to talk about the misuse of people in positions of power and how they control and misuse that power in order to take advantage of lesser people, or really like manipulate in ways that is sick and dark and controlling and possessive and evil, though that's the dark shadow side of Pluto. When Pluto is in the final degrees, it is in the final throes of sweeping that energy up and cleaning it up and pulling it up from the root. It is a painful process, and the world as we know it changes forever. This is not just in business and politics and our government and our money, but it goes bigger and deeper, and branches out into everywhere that this misuse and abuse of power extends, which it branches out into a lot of different directions. So we're going to continue to see that, and now that Pluto is direct, it's going to be less of, I don't say less of revelations, because now it's more like Pluto is kind of sorting through the muck of what it found. It's not looking anymore, it's already uncovered, and now it's taking a shovel and really sifting through and saying, this is what this is what this person did, this is where the abuse happened, this is this misuse of power. And again, you're going to see connections between everything that Capricorn rules. You're going to see how it connects to conglomerates, is that the right word? Organizations that bring in a lot of money. One thing that I'm going to publicly say here, I see the NFL or sports networks, specifically the NFL. That has been a really specific vision that's been coming through to me. I think there's going to be some really shocking revelations and cover-ups that have been happening there. I probably shouldn't say that on the internet so loudly. If you guys ever want me to talk more about more, I don't want to say intimate or dangerous conversations that we can't really talk about here on the YouTube channel, Bahati Love Notes is my monthly membership where not only am I pulling cards and the charts for that small collective there throughout the month, every month, but I talk more candidly about my life and also events that can't necessarily come here on YouTube. So I'll link that down below along with a coupon code. But back to my original thought, I really believe that, and I have a vision, I'm publicly stating it here, that the NFL is going to be caught in some mess, big time mess, especially when it comes to S trafficking and like money laundering, like stuff like that. Anything having to do with the misuse and abuse of sexuality, not just the NFL, but politics, government, music industry, which we're seeing, and those people in positions of power that have been, and also the system that set them up to be powerful, the system that has made them be so successful in what is that they're doing. And it has a lot to do with the S word, SEX word, trafficking, violation. Pluto rules that part of ourselves that has to do with fetishes and the controlling of power dynamics through sensuality and sexuality, also violations, also hiding, also laundering, money laundering, tax type of stuff. These are things that we're going to continue to see kind of revealing. Also, people who are in like government, like bigger titles, like titles within the government, their dirty laundry, to put it lightly, starts to come out very obvious in ways that before they were protected, in ways that we kind of skim over in the past, now no longer. This is all going to start happening more rapid fire, as if it hasn't been the last few weeks, now that Pluto is direct. Now the reason why the speed of these revelations and the speed of these cases has been picking up is because even though the planet Pluto wasn't necessarily direct at that time, when a planet is transiting from retrograde to direct, the energies are groggy, but they're waking up. So we start to see the signs of what's to come, even during that retrograde stage when we're near the end of it. So how does this impact us in our intimate lives, in our intimate world? Well, for many of you guys, I'm going to say that, like a broken record, you want to look to see what Capricorn is overseeing within your natal chart. Even if you don't have planets, personal planets, that fall within Capricorn, Capricorn energy oversees a chunk of your life, and I know I've been promising a video on how to break that down, and I will get that up for you guys. Please be patient with me, currently pregnant, and dealing with hurricanes, and dealing with the shops, and all of that stuff. So I am moving at a snail's pace, but I'm doing pretty well. Like my family and my friends were like, Jess, you're handling this really well, like arguably better than some of them. Like I haven't been counting or anything like that, especially with like disasters, like natural disasters and stuff, or just the aches and the pains of pregnancy. Anyway, got distracted. But definitely look to see what Capricorn rules and oversees within your life. For example, for me, overlooks relationships. So this is where I could be, it's overseeing my 7th house of relationships and long-term marriage and partnerships. This is where I need to look at the dynamic that I bring you know, to my relationship and the seriousness and the longevity and the commitment, or doing something that is committed for the long haul together as a couple, which we are, and approaching that in a way that is healthy and constructive and balanced for me and ultimately the both of us, our family that is that we're creating together. So that's one example. I'm putting myself out there. Try to look to see what Capricorn rules within your chart, and you'll be able to see where this dynamic is really going to show. Now, is this a transit that needs to provoke fear? I get that question every single time, and I understand. Someone will say, like, Jess, I'm a Capricorn. Does this, is this going to wreck me? Is this going to destroy me? Is this a bad transit? There's no such thing as a bad transit. What is good or bad or in between is your intention. How have you been moving up until this point? If you have been intentionally being manipulative, intentionally controlling, intentionally fucking up your relationships, intentionally mind messing with people, then when these types of planets go intentionally hiding things, sneaking, sabotaging, you know your conscience. When these planets go direct or when they go retrograde, you're going to feel the effects depending on the energy that you bring to the room. If you're not someone who is out here intentionally messing people up, now there are a few outliers, like people who are innocent and they fall through the cracks. Those are whole other transits that we can look at. As an astrologer, you can see that. But for the most part, the majority of us, 99.9%, maybe not that high, but you have to look at yourself and look at the energy that you bring to the room. Whatever energy you put out there is what it is that you ultimately will get. Whatever lessons that it is that you are learning are lessons that ultimately it's time for you to learn, or there's a way to find healing within that moment. So definitely. Now, I just spent about 20 minutes talking about the past and where we sit right now. And now we are going to need to talk about the present and the future and these transits. Specifically this week, I don't want to alarm anyone, but this is going to be a week, October 14th, of massive revelation, reflection, oh my God, it was me the whole time moments. Or this revelation of like, I cannot do this, or I cannot wait, I need to prepare now. There is such a pressure in the planets. A big part of it has a lot to do with Mercury squaring off with Pluto, Mercury entering into the sign of Scorpio, Mars squaring off with Chiron retrograde, Chiron retrograde transiting through Aries right now, the Sun directly opposing Chiron, then the full moon. This entire week, it's to the point where like I can't even break this down individually for you guys. I mean, maybe follow me on TikTok and I'll do every single one of these transits, but I literally don't think it's a good idea for me to break down every single one of these transits because it would be an hour long. I just want to say that overall, and you guys know it's so hard for me not to be thorough, not to be specific, and not to be pinpoint detailed with my predictions as far as I can for a larger audience. It's another thing if we're sitting face to face, having coffee and pulling your chart. It's a whole other energy when we're talking on the internet, and every single one of us has completely unique astrology charts, and I'm covering all of my bases and making sure that every single one of you are protected, guided, aware, and know what to expect. I just want to say that communication is going to be tense. It's going to feel like things are misaligned. There's going to be miscommunications as if it was like Mercury retrograde, but worse, because people are getting triggered, people are defensive, people are getting offended. It may be you, it may be others. There's also this way of like people, how they handle conflict, how they handle tension, how they handle being and feeling vulnerable. When Mercury exits out of Libra, and this is going to be happening on around the 13th. Please pardon, the 13th. Please pardon my sniffles. When Mercury exits out of the sign of Libra, and the Sun is currently transiting through the sign of Libra, you start to get impatient and you start to get worn down by how much you compromised, and now all of a sudden you need that, what you put out, you need it to be replenished, you need it to be replaced. And you may be looking around in the room and being like, okay, you owe me this, or I give you this, or I gave my heart to you and you can't give me the loyalty or the friendship or the communication or the this that I deserve. There's this awareness of how people move, what you can expect from them, and it can be absolutely disappointing, or it could be eye-opening where you're just like, wow, I have never felt this seen, this supported, this loved in a long time, you know? So there's two ways that this can break down. I just want to say that when we're dealing with such intimate energies, where people naturally kind of shy away from being vulnerable or expressing themselves or feeling quote-unquote powerless, it's kind of interesting to see how this will pan out. I'm going to sneeze for just a second. The next thing that I'm looking at that I think you guys should be aware of is the sun currently transiting through the sign of Libra, which of course, whenever we think about Libra energy, we're always like relationships and love and partnership and harmony and compromise. And yes, all those things, but let's not be generic and let's not be basic. The sun is currently transiting through Libra, yes, and it does rule all those things, but what it really does look out for is how we're able to balance ourselves and make life kind of work out, like our way of juggling, our way of pivoting, so that we are not crashing, burning, and falling apart as much as we can, depending on our growth, depending on how much we're working on ourselves, depending on who is supporting us, depending on our circumstances and our resources. All those things can help us or break us. The sun is currently directly opposing Chiron retrograde in the sign of Aries, and for this, and as Mercury is transiting through the sign of Scorpio as well, the main thing, and we have all these major planets retrograde, the main thing that I'm seeing is someone here is 1000%, or many of you guys, I'm going to encourage you guys to slow down, to begin to look at or to bring back into your life the things that really bring meaning and value, that may not necessarily involve money, that may not necessarily involve other people, but the things that bring you joy. For a lot of you guys, you've been exploring a lot of different interests and things that you want to do and places that you want to go. It's been very active. Even with the retrogrades, it's been very active. And it could be through hobbies, it could be through education, it could be through inner growth and inner healing. You don't need to be jet-setting all over the world in order to be active. You don't need to be going to the gym in order to be active, although those are examples too. It could be spiritual exercise. It could be journaling. It could be exercise and communication, growing a child. You know, there's so many different things that have been vigorous in your life, and those are things that kept you busy, kept you focused. They felt, I don't say like requirements, but they felt active enough. And I think that I know that now that the sun is currently transiting through Libra and directly opposing Chiron retrograde in the sign of Aries, what it is that I'm ultimately seeing here is finding things to balance out the work, the effort that you have done in order to slow down and bring more joy. And I don't say levity to the point where you're just like on, like, what is it, nitrous oxide? Is it like some laughing gas? I don't know. Like, I don't expect to be like laughing, haha, hee hee, throughout life, although that would be cool too. But I do see you returning back to the spot within yourself that is uncomplicatedly you. Now, let me give you an example. It's interesting, I can relate to this, and I'm going to use myself as an example. When the hurricane was hitting, we were cooking, we were spending time with family, we were going through some fearful moments all together. We had a puzzle, we ate, we slept. Those were all the things that we could do, but they were very replenishing. Now, the circumstances around us were turbulent, the winds were rocking, the front door was literally sounded like someone was banging to get in, the walls of the house were banging. the transformers were blowing outside the windows, trees toppling over my neighbors' cars and into the streets. The place was wrecked. But when I look back at the time, it was enjoyable, it was transformative, it was beautiful, it was needed, it was replenishing, because it reminded me of what's truly important. Not only during the hurricane, but afterwards. Watching the community come together to help each other. Watching each other ask, do you need help? What can I do for you? I have this contact. Let me help you chop this down. Can I get some water from you? Can I charge my phone? Can I get some food? It was, I think, what we all needed. And it was always a blessing in disguise. That's how the divine moves. And from that awareness, it helped me to reset, to refocus on what truly is important. And yes, the sun transit through Libra could bring in relationships and partnerships, and of course it could be bonding. But more importantly, the relationship that I felt with myself and the world around me was in harmony. It was peaceful. It wasn't perfect, but it was necessary, it was needed, and it brought something out of me that I forgot about. And for that reason, I will be changed, or I move according to that. Also, with Chiron currently retrograde transiting through the sign of Aries, North Node transiting through the sign of Aries. Aries is all about action and what it is that we do in order to protect ourselves, to preserve ourselves, and to advocate and be an ally for others. This also highlights the growth of what feels good and what is healthy and healing and nourishing to who I am, to who you are. Aries rules I am. This goes deeper than ego. It's your purpose, it's your identity, and from that place, that's how you move, that's how you show up to face the world. Aries is the first zodiac sign that leads the rest of the astrology, that leads the rest of the horoscope. And it rules our how we view the world, and from that reaction, how the world views us. So when we put all these pieces together, not only are we asking ourselves what is it we are attracting, but what is it that we need, and how can we literally move in our masculine? What are we doing in our masculine in order to fulfill, to support, to nurture, nourish our feminine, and bring both of those aspects of our lives together in a way that is healthy and healed and in alignment and thriving. So that is a whole lot, and then we're going to end the video talking about the fact that, or just letting you guys know that there's a full moon in the sign of Aries, 7:27 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the 17th at the end of this week, and there's going to be a whole other video breaking that down. So make sure that you are subscribed to this YouTube channel. If you want more tarot and intuitive readings that are for our collective, Bahati Love Notes is the way to go. It's similar to a Patreon. However, it's a Patreon that I've created. I tend to like to create little hubs around what I'm doing and not these outside entities, because it helps me organize, and it's my business and it's my contribution. So I'd like to keep it close. That's why I'm not on Patreon. You guys have been asking for a Patreon for me for years, and that was my way of creating it. It's called Bahati Love Notes. Again, they're exclusive readings, once a month membership, and throughout the month you get readings and intuitive messages and other content. Right now we are looking at every other day. In the last few days it's been every day. Do keep in mind that if I need to take some time off, just a reminder, I'm pregnant, or very much at the end of the pregnancy. If I do need to take some time off, a little bit of time, I'll let you guys know. We'll pause it, but Bahati Love Notes has been it, and it's been helping you guys not only with understanding the energy that's been going around, getting your questions asked, but also journal prompts, self-reflection. You guys know that we go really, really deep here on the YouTube channel. So having said that, you guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Please give this video a thumbs up. YouTube is going through it. You giving this video a thumbs up goes a long way. Share this video with your friends, your family. Let's get the conversation going down below. What is Libra, overlooking within your chart, how are you feeling with Chiron retrograde when it comes to how we're moving, the action that we're taking for our own healing, for our own activity? And are you scared of Pluto moving direct? Do you have fear? It's okay if you do. If you have any other questions about astrology, let me know down in the comments. I'll try to answer as many as I can. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
All right, y'all. I love you guys. I'll catch you guys later, and I hope you have a good one.
Leaves are falling.